Heidi ho fellas, it is your friendly driver here, and today folks, I'm going to be showing you 5 things that DoorDash just does not tell you when you sign up to DoorDash. So let's go ahead and dive right into this video. Now, if you don't know, I actually was a welder before I started DoorDashing. I got sick and tired of doing it to the point that I literally just gave up. I could not do it. My dream and passion is to become a full-time YouTuber and just create videos. I freaking love doing that. And that's just something that was not in my plans because by the time I got home every day, I just pass out from how tired I was. So I started DoorDashing, and the biggest issue with that is, well, there's just things they don't tell you. And obviously, I mean, every company is not going to tell you all the nitty-gritty details because they want you to work for them. So here they are. Number 1, taxes. Now, I was a voice actor for 2 years prior to doing my welding job, and I was freelance to do that, and by the end of those years, I did not really know what I was getting into. I didn't have things written down. I didn't have expenses for people I paid for, I don't know, all the stuff I needed, thumbnails for videos, and just all tons of other stuff, and it was just a huge mess. And that same thing applies for DoorDash. When you're driving around, you actually have to figure out all that information and take aside a certain amount of your cash that you're making for taxes at the end of the year, because DoorDash doesn't do that for you. They don't pull that out and then give it to you like a typical company would. Because, yeah, a lot of people think taxes are great at the end of the year because you do get money. It sucks that they pull that out from you, and then at the end of the year, you kind of get some back. Yeah, when you're freelancing, unfortunately, that's not the case. You had to pull out a certain amount and then do it. Now, as of right now, what I know, I think it's around 15 to 20%. It obviously varies between where you're at when you're door dashing. But I am going to show you an app that I recently downloaded that has saved me so much money already. It is actually going to be called Solo. Solo is an app that essentially tracks all your mileage, shows how much you've made per hour, gives you tons of details about everything, and then you can export it and just send it to your tax advisor and boom, you're done. Like literally it auto tracks every time you go out and DoorDash, so you can go ahead and see how much mileage and how much you've saved, so you can actually write that down. Because obviously if you're doing that kind of stuff, like essentially if you're going to be door dashing and you have paid for gas, obviously that's an expense, a writable expense. You can write that off. And this app, Solo, does that. It shows you how much you've used for gas per mileage. It's just so nice. There's a ton of other stuff on there. It's really, really cool. If you want to use it, try it out. It's right here. It's saved me so much money already. Number 2 is probably one of the other ones that I really didn't think that would be that difficult. Like when I started DoorDashing, I was pretty nervous about it. Like, I mean, it can't be that hard. I'm just delivering from point A to point B, bada boom, bada bing, right? Obviously should be good. You know what's really difficult is when you pull in and your app tells you you're there and you're not there. Huh? Like, for example, I'll go to, most of the time, it usually is like a house. This happens where it'll say I'm here, but it's like 3 more houses down. Or another thing is, one of my favorites is I'll be inside of a apartment complex that I'll drive in, and it'll bring me from, let's say it goes from 100 to 700, you know. It'll bring me to the 700s, even though the apartment's at the 100s, so I don't know that, and I have to go from walking at the 700s all the way back to the 100s. Like, DoorDash doesn't tell you that. Google Maps doesn't tell you that. You just kind of have to learn your area and figure things out and just kind of trial and error, really. And sometimes that'll eat into your time. I mean, the first month I started doing DoorDash, it literally took me a full month to kind of get the area I was in, to kind of like memorize which places are which. Thankfully, I DoorDash in multiple spots. The main place I do DoorDash has a ton of apartments because it is a college town, so duh, it's really annoying. I've kind of got some of it down pat, but a lot of the other stuff, like for example, there's some like smaller country towns I'm in that are just kind of like more just houses, which are, oh, thank goodness. But yeah, sometimes that's just something you want to keep in mind because it definitely will take you a lot more time if you don't realize that. So just keep in mind that sometimes DoorDash, like the Google Maps, doesn't really fully work as intended, which can really waste a lot of time. If you like puppies, do subscribe. We just got this one. She's literally 2 months old. Her name's Annie. All right, let's get back to the video, boys. Coming at number 3, we have inconsistent earnings. Now, I feel like this one's a little bit more known. DoorDash isn't just, here you go, here's the amount you get, blah, blah, blah. How it bases itself is usually you'll get a certain amount from DoorDash and you'll get a certain amount from tips. Now, right now, I'm about half and half between those two for the current month, but pretty much you can also get a peak pay, which sometimes it could be ranging from $1 to the highest I've seen is $5. I've tried doing $5 ones, but a lot of the time I just get no orders. I don't know. It seems like the smaller towns usually wind up getting higher peak pays because there's just not a lot of dashers dashing in that area, and that could result in just not enough orders. I mean, it might be just a small town or just doesn't have a lot of big chain restaurants. I mean, that's the case. Or they may be using Uber Eats or Grubhub more in an area that's more popular for those other apps. That's another thing as well. You do have other apps that sometimes are more popular in other areas. I mean, I know Uber Eats is a little bit more popular in some towns than others. I mean, it's just dependent. Now, another thing as well for inconsistent earnings, some stuff I've noticed is if I decline an order because, you have your different acceptance rate, you usually want to keep it as high as possible so you can get, paying. But like, I know sometimes DoorDash will give you a $3 for an order that's like 10 miles away. It doesn't make any sense, and you just can't accept it. But sometimes you can't be cherry picking, and you have to go ahead and do some of these because I don't know if it's just me, but I've noticed a lot of time when I just decline these orders, I don't get any orders for minutes, sometimes 10 to 15. At one time, I literally ended my dash because it took an hour before my next one. And then once I ended it, and then I went back into my dash because it was really busy in that area, and I knew it was. It literally was busy. I could see the McDonald's line where there is a dasher specific area, and it's full, and I'm literally sitting right beside it and getting no orders. And as soon as I ended my dash and went back in, I got 2 orders. I don't know. Maybe it's just a myth. I don't know. Maybe a bug. I don't know. That is just one thing you want to know. It is inconsistent earnings. But to be honest, while it may be, inconsistent earnings, there are places that do pay per hour, especially bigger towns, so that is good. But from what I found, usually the best bits is just to, go by tips and just go earn by yourself, per tip and whatever. Earn by time is just a little confusing. We could do a full video on that. Anyways, just get as much hours as possible. Don't go overboard. But if you can get at least like a normal 8-hour shift every single day, I think you'll be good. And number 4, we've got Red Card. Now, Red Card is something that I think they do briefly touch upon, but I did not understand it until it happened, and then I had to do it. Thankfully, my first one wasn't too bad. But essentially what red cards are is once you do a DoorDash or once you do a few dashing, you'll get a red card and a bag. And the red card, you'll have to sign into your app and then plug the information in. So essentially, sometimes they don't do these as often anymore, but for stuff like Walgreens, Dollar General, things like that, more where you're going in, you basically go shopping for a customer and get the items they need and then check out and go to the customer. Now, that sounds great and dandy, right? You just swipe the card, boom, bada bing, you're done. Half the time, it's low-paying orders, like $3, $5, and they're just so time-consuming because you have to go in and shop. Now, if it's like 1 to 2 items, I guess it's fine. But, for example, my first order for a Dollar General red card, what happened was, and this is no fault to anybody, it just was when I went in, they didn't have the charger that they needed, and the customer didn't respond to me. Then there was light bulbs that he wanted, so I had to get both of those. I did finally find the charger. There was one, and it was not in its basket. It was way over somewhere else, and I yoinked that thing, and then I went to the line that was already spiraling around the corner, and there was only one cashier. It was disastrous. I think it took me like an hour just to get all this stuff to this customer. When you see red cards, I don't know. I usually decline them because they just are time consuming. You got to go shopping for the customer. Usually they're low paying. It just doesn't make any sense. Number 5, we have hidden expenses. Now, I think generally when everybody thinks DoorDash, you got a car that's going to run down eventually. Yeah, that's how it is. You're going to have a vehicle and it's going to run miles like nobody's business. Currently, I am using a very old Avalon, and basically it has already over 200,000 miles on it, and I just kind of stick to like 2 to 3 towns around my area. It's about like an hour max I drive, and yeah, it's got a lot of wear and tear on the car. But at the end of the day, I'm making enough money to, balance that out. Now, I know there is a 2% cashback card they do offer. I just don't use it. I actually use Upside, which is right here, that gives so much more cash back than their 2% does. I mean, look at these deals. This one I recently got right here, you can see I actually went ahead and got so much back. I think it was like $2.63 for gas when it was like $2.89 or $2.93 or something like that. It was super, super cheap and just nice. If you use my referral code, you can get a ton of gas. I think it's about 15 cents for your first gas you buy, plus whatever they have marked down as well. It is absolutely broken, and I recommend it more than their 2% gas back on stuff. Trust me, Upside is amazing. I've used it especially for just saving on gas when I'm driving around because, oh my goodness, like I said, hidden expenses. Gas is so expensive. It does not need to be that expensive, but it is. All right, that is the video on 5 things that DoorDash does not tell you when you start dashing. If this video was informative and helped you, definitely check out this one where I show you how to change your vehicle on DoorDash. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.